Welcome to the presentation on writing thesis statements and introductions. With a few simple tips and tricks, you will be a pro at writing thesis statements and introductions for ISTEP type essays. Let's begin by defining thesis statements. A thesis statement is basically just like a topic sentence, except we use a topic sentence when we're writing a single paragraph, and we use the thesis statement when we are writing a multi-paragraph essay. A thesis statement should tell your reader what the essay is going to be about, and it should be the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. A thesis statement should make a claim or an argument. It should show the point that you are trying to prove. A thesis statement should not contain the words I think or I believe. No I statements at all. They actually weaken your writing. Many students often wonder how they create a thesis statement. It's pretty simple. You really have to look at the essay prompt, and from there you're able to sort of turn that into a thesis statement. First, you have to evaluate what the writing prompt is asking you to do. What type of writing is it? Is it expository? Is it persuasive? Is it narrative? If you're being asked to write a narrative, you would not use this sort of thesis or introduction. But if you are being asked to write expository or persuasive writing, then you would do this. You would first look at the prompt, and you should underline or highlight the parts of the prompt that are telling you exactly what you need to do. Here's a sample prompt. It says, suppose your school principal wants your opinion about whether or not to allow cell phones at school. Do you think students having a cell phone at school is a good idea or not? What might be some advantages? What might be some disadvantages? Write a persuasive essay in which you describe your opinion about having cell phones at school. Try to convince the school principal that your opinion is fair to everyone. Give specific details to support why you think cell phones should or should not be allowed at school. So we're now going to highlight the parts of this prompt that are really showing us what we need to do. When I do my highlighting, I'm really focusing on the second paragraph of the prompt because that's where I'm being told what to do. So I have to describe my opinion about having cell phones at school, convince the school principal that my opinion is fair, and give specific details to support why I think cell phones should or should not be allowed at school. So I have to take a position. Well, I think I do want cell phones at school, but why? The answer to that question is going to become my thesis statement. I'm going to begin by answering the question. Why do I want cell phones in school? Well, one, I think it's easier to communicate with parents about changes in pickup or any sort of communication with parents and students. I believe that teachers can use cell phones as a teaching tool, a learning tool for students. In schools where there is no one-to-one technology, not every school has iPads for their students. And lastly, I think the kids can use cell phones to relax during lunch, listen to music, play games, and then it kind of helps them to be ready to focus on their schoolwork afterward. Notice how I came up with 3 reasons why I want cell phones in school. 3 is always the magic number. Now, these 3 reasons are going to create my thesis statement. Now I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to take my position on the question, which was that I think they should have cell phones in school, with my 3 reasons why, and that is a great thesis statement. And here's what it would look like. Cell phones should be allowed in all schools because it makes it easier for kids to communicate with their parents. They can be used as a learning tool, and it helps kids relax and stay focused on their education. Now that we have the thesis statement, we need the introduction. So what's the information that's going to appear before the thesis statement? Well, an introduction needs to be about 3 sentences long, the thesis statement being one of them. Here's a formula for the good introduction. You need a hook plus 1 or 2 general statements about your topic plus your strong thesis statement, and that equals an excellent introduction. And that equals about 3 to 4 sentences depending on how much you want to write. So let's try writing one ourselves. We need a hook. Well, I usually like to start with a question. Can you imagine a world without cell phones? Well, some schools don't want kids to be allowed to bring their phones to school. Now, I need a general statement about the topic. So I'm going to think, what can I say in general about cell phones? Today, cell phones are so popular that many elementary school kids have their own. Even when schools do not allow cell phones, students are bringing them anyway. Last piece of the puzzle is the thesis statement. Cell phones should be allowed in all schools because it makes it easier for kids to communicate with their parents. They can be used as a learning tool, and it helps kids to relax and stay focused on their education. The hook, the general statements, and the thesis statement all together make the finished product of a great introductory paragraph. Here it is. Can you imagine a world without cell phones? Well, some school principals do not want cell phones in school. Today, cell phones are so popular that many elementary school kids have their own. Even when schools do not allow cell phones, students are bringing them anyway. Cell phones should be allowed in all schools because it makes it easier for kids to communicate with their parents, they can be used as a learning tool, and it helps kids to relax and stay focused on their education. Now you're going to practice on your own. You're going to open the PDF, read the prompt, and follow the steps that you just watched in this video tutorial. As a reminder, here are the steps. 1, you underline the important information in the prompt. 2, you have to take a position on the topic. 3, you need to brainstorm some reasons for your position or answer the question. 4, you need to take your position and reasons and turn them into a thesis statement. 5, you add an introduction, which is a hook, plus some general statements about the topic, plus the thesis statement. You put it all together, and now you have a great introduction.